Well, I'll call the meeting to order. This is the special closed session meeting for the Templeton Community Service District Board of Directors. And can we have a roll call, please?
Directors Ardonish.
Here.
Bardini.
Here.
Logan.
Here.
Pearson is absent and Peterson.
Okay. So we'll adjourn to closed session and we can move to the next. It's else here. I don't think they get us. Oh, there's nobody on the call.
It's 7 o'clock now, though.
1 minute. Yeah. All right, good evening. This is the Templeton Community Service District's Board of Directors regular meeting. Today is Tuesday, September 19th, 2023. And a report out of closed session. There was no action taken in the closed session meeting held prior to this regularly scheduled meeting. So can we have a roll call, please?
Directors Ardonish.
Here.
Bardini. Here. Logan.
Here.
Pearson is absent and Peterson.
Here.
Okay, join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, with respect to order of business, would any director, well, we only have, consent agenda, so there is no order of business to change. Public comment, we will not have public comment since we have no public on the call or in the room. The consent agenda, we have a total of 6 items. The first being, number A, the minutes of the board's September 5th, 2023 meeting. The treasurer's report for the period ending July of 2023. Resolution number 18-2023, a minor revision to the personnel guidelines. Item D is a notice of completion of the Equinox FIX system. I'm not even sure what that is. Budget adjustment, assistance to firefighters grant. And item F is a budget adjustment, fire station bathroom repairs. So with that, would any board member like to pull any of the consent agenda items?
Yes, item D, please.
Item D, okay. And any other items for questions or comments? Okay, I'll make a motion that the board approves item A, B, C, E, and F.
I'll second.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the consent agenda A, B, C, E, and F, made by Director Logan and seconded by Director Giardini.
Hello.
We have a roll call, please.
Directors Logan.
That's how you do it.
Aye.
Bardini.
Aye.
Ardonish.
Aye.
Pearson is absent and Peterson.
Yes.
Okay. Then going back to item D.
Okay, so for the notice of completion, can you just tell me when, please, when it was completed and how everything went and?
It began operation, I believe, on June 28th,
Okay.
or somewhere within a day or so of that date.
Mhm.
And it's been operating smoothly. We did make one adjustment. We can adjust the dosing of the chemicals through a system that we like through a computerized system, so we can increase or decrease the dosage. Part of our startup with Evoqua included like 4 site visits from their staff to test the residual in various locations downstream, so that we could really dial in the dosing, because it's really a way of saving some money and not overutilizing the chemical. If we can use just enough to be effective without overdosing the chemical, it's probably going to require seasonal adjustments, like a higher dosage in the summer and a lower dosage in the winter.
And then have you guys noticed it being effective? I mean, is it working?
I think so. I mean, I try to pay a lot of attention, especially the area that we had the most, that was most noticeable is, you know, from the Chevron to Bennett area. And I did notice it once, and that's when we made some adjustments to the dosing. But do let us know if that's something that you sense, because it should be more predictable now. It's operating.
Okay. All right, awesome. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it. I know it took a little bit longer than we had anticipated, but I'm glad at least, and you know, it's done and.
Well, we kept, we had, you know, that former piece of equipment, it's a fan with a filter on it. We kept that in operation until Evoco was operating, so we never went a period of time with no treatment.
And is the $11,000 or $12,000 cost for chemicals, is that gonna be a yearly cost? or-
Yes. It's probably more than that. That's the cost of one tank fill. But until we get the dosage dialed in and, you know, how much we're actually going to be using, which again is gonna be somewhat variable, we won't have a better schedule.
But I mean,
It was estimated to take maybe 3 tanks a year.
but yeah, I mean, at least the good thing about it is not just only for the smell, it's gonna help the infrastructure.
It should reduce, it's designed to reduce any sort of corrosion of the pipelines and lift stations, metal components in the system downstream.
I don't have any other questions, so I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda item D.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion made by Director Fardanish and seconded by Director Giardini. We have roll call, please.
Directors Fardanish,
Aye.
Giardini,
Yes.
Logan,
Aye.
Pearson is absent, and Peterson.
Yes.
Okay, and so with that, we'll move on to our general manager's report.
Yeah, I have 2 additional items that I wanted to call to your attention. First, the annual community cleanup that we run is this Saturday, and as of today, signups are pretty low. So if you know anyone who's interested in participating, it's Saturday morning at 8:30. There's a sign up online through our website, or you can just show up Saturday morning here at 8:30 in this room, and the participants will be given you know, gloves and bags and remember the tool is to pick up trash. And it's a day that we're coordinating with other surrounding communities for the same type of activity. But we've typically had a lot of student participation through clubs and students that need community service hours, and at least as of this morning, those hadn't become very apparent just yet, so we need to get some more participants. And then I wanted to report that our the location of the turnout off of the Nasi Meadow Water Project line. You know, the line runs in this vicinity, it runs just on the east side of the river. And there's a turnout, a pipeline, a turnout, it's called a turnout, but it's just a T in the line that provides the water to our location out at the Selby site. Occurs just south of the Vineyard Bridge. And there's a T in the line, and then all of our equipment is actually over on the Selby site. That's what I call our turnout. It's got it's an elevated platform. You might recall seeing when you've been out there. So a pretty big piece of the infrastructure is pretty obvious. That's where the water actually surfaces, and we take delivery of it. Through our participation in the Nasi Meadow Water Project, the maintenance of the line is a shared cost. I mean, the turnout is our cost, but not directly. It's through the county flood control district. When they spend money on maintaining that portion of the line, we get billed for it, or anything having to do with our turnout. Well, on January 9th, when the river rose really high, and you remember all the flood damage, there was some washout that occurred above the pipeline. It didn't cause any real damage. The pipeline never went out of service at that location. It did go out of service quite obviously further down in the Santa Margarita area, where it was really destructive. But there was a washout there, and the top of the pipeline was exposed. And recently, the flood control district through the Nasi project has suggested that, knowing that we have a plan to relocate our turnout or to create a second turnout closer to the Creekside site, suggested that we participate with them. FEMA's doing already funding some alternatives analysis for replacing the pipeline in Santa Margarita. That's an area of the pipeline that's totally washed out by the storm. It was really significant damage. It's a pretty big project to reroute that portion of the line. We've agreed to have their consultant, again, it funded, 93% will be funded through FEMA and Cal OES, do an evaluation of our pipeline, either to protect it better, or as an alternative, perhaps relocate it for redundancy. You know, that was gonna be something we were doing anyways. And if it's considered to be a cost-effective means for removing that future problem, FEMA may be able to pay for some of the costs of relocating that turnout. So it's sort of an interesting situation. Anyway, I just wanted, it's gonna be kind of a slow moving thing. We're not gonna deal with FEMA, this district staff, but the flood control district is coordinating with them. They already had consultants on board for other pipeline damage that occurred during the storm, doing this similar kind of analysis, and we're doing in the most significant piece is the piece down closer again south of Atascadero, where a big chunk of the pipeline was actually lost in the storm. You know, it was the whole riverbank was washed out and pipeline broken loose, and really to date that section of the pipeline is still not back in service. They've attempted a couple of temporary repairs that haven't worked just yet. So I'll keep you updated. If that gets some legs, it may be really beneficial to us.
Would it be within our timeline of our project? The funding, if they do?
Yeah, it would need to be done within about 3 years. But the FEMA's got some fairly strict guidelines about how fast the mitigation would have to be done, so. Yeah. So anyways, interesting, it's just an interesting thing that I think just kind of stumbled upon. So I wanted to call your attention to that, because I think it doesn't, you know, no guarantees here, but it might help pay the cost of that second turnout.
Okay, that's helpful. Okay, any other comments? Updates?
No
No?
questions. Speaking of replacement for Tina, any applications coming yet?
So
Okay, so you know the city of Paso is looking for 2 engineers? And somebody said Cambria was too.
I looked at Cambria's website because they lost their district engineer, but last time I checked, they weren't recruiting yet.
Well, Ray
Dienzo,
Enzo went to Oceano,
Napomo CSD.
Napomo. So Tim Reaper took his place. Tristan Reaper. Cause I have a project over in Cambria.
Yeah, so we're really getting, not time to hit the panic button, but we had a pretty aggressive advertising. You know, we spent more money in advertising in more places than we typically would have, and it's produced, Carrie's got the data behind it. It's produced interest, but it hasn't fed our website with applications. So it's, our deadline is October 2nd. So yeah, it's not, it's becoming concerning.
I told the interim city engineer at the city of Paso to send anybody who came in second, third, or fourth our way, but I didn't know what the difference in salaries were. Do you know? I don't know.
So Cambria's not recruiting.
Cambria is not, but the city of Paso, I think, is recruiting 2 engineers. They're replacing David Athy for sure, because he did a lateral move, and then I thought they had one other one out. And if we can't get anybody, then we should start asking for consultants to step in, so that at least we have somebody here on staff.
Yeah, we'll have to, we could go a little while, but there'll be a point in time that we'll need to have, just pulling up for,
And by consultants, you're referring to an individual as opposed to a large consulting firm?
Well, it doesn't have to be an individual, but if you go to like Ashley and Vance or Cannon or Wallace, your price for them to lend us an engineer is gonna be a lot higher than some of the smaller firms like Civil Design Studio or Joe Chenard or Tim Roberts or something like that.
Any other questions or comments to the
Yeah,
general
I've got
manager?
the city, just so you have a full, this is City of Pastor Robles, and we can coordinate with them to see where they're advertising and if they're, where they're getting. Yeah, they're recruiting for city, for community development city engineer,
Yeah.
right now.
And what are they paid?
Their wages are not that different from ours. I don't know about their benefits, but that's, yeah, it's a continuous recruitment, so they must have had this, they may have had some of the same challenges. That's essentially what we do is we can't get applicants, we have to go to continuous recruitment, pushing for applicants and hoping for the best. It's really difficult time in the public sector right now to get really difficult.
Any other comments?
I did reach out to some contacts at the county and trying to get, but really our pay is not, our pay and benefits, it would have to be someone who's fairly low level for this to be a move up. In terms of an engineer.
Are we still having the fundraiser, the Parks and Rec having the fundraiser?
Yeah, it's in your,
I think she's mentioned in the Park and Rec report that it's not taking place this year, that they're doing in lieu of living the dream. They're doing more drive-through dinner.
yeah, and actually it's gonna be on tomorrow's, we have a topic on tomorrow morning's, committee meeting. The first drive-through dinner is October 17th.
Any other questions for the general manager? Since we have a member of the public, any questions for the general manager?
No, but thank you for inviting me. I'm Susan Funk. I'm running for county supervisor in the 5th district, and I'm just dropping by to hear what's going on with the Temple and CSD.
You're welcome.
We need money.
Okay, activity reports or committee reports, there is a Water Resource Advisory Committee summation in your packet. Any questions, comments on that? Okay, moving on to activity update reports. There is a finance report. Any comments, questions? Okay, there's a fire and emergency services report from staff. Comments, questions?
They have 4 hazardous things. I didn't, what determines hazardous over?
Could be a chemical spill. Something along those lines. Let me find that thing and see if it'll jog my memory if there were any that I.
Yeah, it just says for hazardous conditions.
Which is unusual. Okay. no
It wasn't reported as one of the significant incidents. At least in his report, I can't recall offhand in this 6 weeks or so. There was a call that I was made aware of that was. A lot of time, it could be a hazardous conditions call, but there wasn't a hazard.
The hazmat didn't come out.
Right, not all, I mean, just like a structure fire, structure fire, or vegetation fire could be something very minor, but it still was reported as a fire.
Park recreation and solid waste report is in your packet. Any comments, questions on that? Okay, utilities, comments, questions? Okay, director's reports and or comments regarding any meetings that any of you may have attended on behalf of the district? No, seeing none. Okay, then we'll adjourn the meeting at 7:18.
Very good.
Well, thank you for coming.